Hey,
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome to this amazing Wednesday for Access Denied. Come on in, like, share, let your friends, family, and your neighbors know.
what up?
We got a packed agenda today coming off of Thanksgiving Thursday, having time to spend with family, friends, or whatever else you did, Monopoly. Also coming off a great speaker series this past Monday earlier in the week. Had a lot of people commenting, had a lot of people sharing. The numbers are still going up. Last night, as the train kept moving, we had a phenomenal training with some of our parents as we get ready to close out the year on a few things. One was celebrating, with two, still doing the parents' work. And then as we get here today to talk to you wonderful people, wonderful parents around the city of Nashville and the state of Tennessee. How are you doing this morning, Sonya?
Oh, I'm doing great and glad to be here and just excited about the weeks to come. I think, my strength is being futuristic and I'm excited about the future. Good morning. Look, we got people checking in. Miss Moppin, Renee, Hooten.
Cool.
What's up? Come on in here. Like and share, y'all.
Yes,
Like
and
and share. Like and share. And John, like, I think we have to remind people like all the time, like the reason why we even do this. It started back in the pandemic where we had to pivot and we had to say, hey, don't stop.
mhm.
Ain't nothing gonna stop us. And so we went to the internet and folk in the hood say intranet. And we started this show because we started this show because we wanted to have a platform led by parents for parents, raw, uncut, and to talk about the things that we care the most about. So
Mm.
thank you guys for joining and continuing to join and continuing to support.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And just some of the conversations and the topics we've had on here, as we look at the feedback and we look at the comments, it also serves as a opportunity for parents to express themselves, but also to hear from other parents of what's going on and to realize like they're not alone. And so, these Wednesday afternoons, Wednesday mornings, like really serve a purpose of again communicating with the community. And thank you for jumping on, Miss Hooten. And we got Miss Moffin, who is always in there. We got, I want to say that's Latia's mom. I'm gonna just go out on a limb for that. But Sonya, one of the things that I wanted to talk to, if you can just give a rundown, and I got my own feelings as well. But just Monday night with the speaker series, kind of what was the highlight, and what were some of the things that you talked about that was good to get out into the broader community across the state?
I think the highlight like was like the partnership and the collaboration, and being able
Hmm.
to see that these issues are bigger than one person or a few people. We're talking about an issue that is affecting many families across the state of Tennessee. So to be able to
Hmm.
always to be able to be on a platform with Sarah is always a blessing, and it's always powerful and it's always fun because we're gonna talk our shit. And
Yep.
first I was laughing. I think one of the highlights for me is Sarah is she's so funny. She is comical. She said, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good. And then look, then her spirit caught on fire. She's like, oh,
Hmm.
like, it was just so funny, but it was fun because, we're real people with real issues and we come from the communities that we serve and we want parents to know that they are not alone, as you said, John. And so those was like the highlights talking about the priority schools, of course, and helping parents to see that it's a bigger issue. Memphis has 36, we've got 19. Memphis is a bigger city than we are, of course, but a
Hmm.
lot of the schools that we're talking about, like, have been on this list. forever, and they're in our neighborhoods. So
Yeah. And I think Miss Moppin says it. She says, yeah, this goes from my community across the lakes to the states. And, a lot of times you may think it's just some in your community. Oh, if you get out of Bordeaux or something, which a lot of people have been, leaving Bordeaux for schools and choosing optional schools and public charter schools. But then they realize, it's not just Bordeaux. Then they'd be like, okay, it may just be Nashville. No, as you listen to Memphis, it's not just Nashville, but in reality, as Miss Maupin says, it's across states. And this is something that's been affecting people for a very long time. And I think for me, leading into that, it was good. Somebody was joking like, "Oh, you out here trademark infringement." When I said, the Titans are coming, I'm like, you got to see it to believe it. And I think you guys delivered on just the passion that you guys have for not only your kids and grandkids, and as Sarah said, her great grandkids, but kids all around this country. We didn't even get into like the work that you guys have traveled to Oakland for the opportunity ticket, or if it was in Pennsylvania or Atlanta or the other states that you guys have traveled to, like fighting, for your kids. But it's about a bigger movement. And so it felt so good to, in the month of November, Thanksgiving, just to see you guys interact with parents who are commenting, showing up and showing out, and just really like telling you guys how much they appreciate the two of you. So that was a good feeling.
but we appreciate like there's no movement without the parents. Like
Right.
let me and Sarah are very clear about that. Like this stuff is bigger than us. And we thank God for the parents, and we appreciate them allowing us to lead in the way that we lead, and just
Mhm.
always know that we're leading, and as we're leading, we have you guys top of mind, and we understand that it's not about us. And just to love, like just last night, John, on the call last night, we had a guest on the call, the parents. She was like, y'all, like the way we interact with each other is family. And even
Mhm.
when we was taking care of business, we all was still love. Like I love getting on the videos and calls and being on with the parents, because they're my family. Like I am a total
Mhm.
introvert. So when I tell y'all that y'all my family, y'all my friends, like I mean that. Like I don't have anybody else. And you guys, I'm getting emotional because as I reflect, like this is my life, and the people that we serve and that we work with, like they're the people in my life, and that means something to me, and I don't take that for granted, not for 1 second.
Not for 1 second. Yeah. And I think we feel that. I think, when a training starts at 6 and people showing up at 5:50,
Mhm.
and then getting on the call with so much enthusiasm.
Mhm.
And even tomorrow, it's a busy day. I see Miss Brewington on here. We got, class 4 of Knowing Your Why, which is going to give them professional communication support. We have a talk show in the morning. And so it's like the parents who helped create this movement. We haven't even gotten into the op-ed. We haven't even gotten into some of the things the school board is doing that is pretty detrimental to student growth and how we show up. But to see parents, consistently go above and beyond. That's what this movement is all about. And the movement continues, and the movement continues to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all because of you guys. Like I think this is a season of thankfulness, Thanksgiving, thankfulness and celebration. And we want to celebrate and like acknowledge the fact that there's no movement without you. And
Mm-hmm.
show you guys love and appreciation, because you guys most definitely show us love all the time, and we're thankful for that. But we want to extend that to you guys. Like we can't do any of this, anything without you, because you guys know you are the power behind the movement. And so thank
Yep.
you. Mean that. Mean that. Yeah. So John, man, it's been oh, I think your internet is delaying,
So,
John.
and
John internet over there kicking his butt on mine one. John, I don't know if it's yours or mine.
It's not. I tried to share the op-ed because one of the things I wanted to go through, but we'll have the producer put it in the comments if you get a chance. So this is an op-ed that Propel dropped about a week and a half ago, Sonya.
Yeah.
And I'm not able to pull it up.
And shout out to the Tennesseans for for amplifying the voices of parents. We appreciate that.
And I agree too. And the headline reads, Nashville leaders need to focus on improving its priority public schools. And the subtitle is Nashville leaders sit unbothered while generations of low-income Black and brown Nashvillians remain chained to the city's worst performing schools. And I'm gonna read about 2 paragraphs just to give you guys a good understanding. I'm gonna try to get it on our Facebook page. But it says MNPS has been on the receiving end of good news from the state of Tennessee regarding outcomes and student growth and performance. Tennessee designated the school district as a level 5 in terms of growth and advancing for overall performance. Designations, the highest and the second highest respectively, indicate movement in the right direction and hard work on the parts of students, educators, their families, and administrators. As parents of students in Nashville's persistently low-performing schools, Nashville Propel applauds the district for emerging from the shadows of the pandemic. And that's the first part. And I think, you got to give credit where credit is due. But Sonya, I just want you to go through the second part and kind of talk through, after we celebrated like emerging from, the darkness of the pandemic, what has been our focus at Propel as we emerge from the darkness? And as, the district talks about, we're back to, pre-pandemic, like academic levels.
So first of all, you gotta understand what happened prior to the pandemic. Can y'all hear me okay? Because I think I had a little delay. Am I good?
Nope, you're good now.
Okay. So you gotta understand your history. And you can't allow people, and Ms. Brewington said Vanderbilt is doing a study on priority schools. Yes, ma'am, they've always done a study, but ain't nobody doing nothing. So thank you for sharing that. Yes, you guys should follow that. But priority schools been around for a long time, low performing schools. So we got to understand what happened before the pandemic. And what happened was the schools were not doing well at all. As a matter of fact, there was a crisis. Not only was it brewing, but the crisis was here. And so when we started in October 2018, John, we sounded the alarm because nobody was sitting, nobody was paying this any attention. It was off the radar of the city, and Nashville became the it city. And it was moving. And as my friend Visha said, under the cranes of downtown Nashville, set students in the lowest performing schools of Nashville. So I needed to take you back so you guys can understand when people say that we have arisen from the pandemic, pre-pandemic status. You got to know better. Yeah, you got to know better. You got to know what pre-pandemic looked like. Okay? So the pandemic was a catastrophe. The pre-pandemic was a crisis. So what we're back at is at the crisis level. Okay? We're back at the crisis level. And that ain't no better because in a crisis, lives are at stake, right? Lives are still at stake. And so what John is talking about is, what we've been sounding alarm about again is, hey, we still have this problem and people are sitting idly around and having celebrations. And we have at least 11 11 of the 19 schools on the priority school list has been there since 2015, right? And a total of the 10 of 12, we got 12 traditional high schools. 10 of those can be found on the priority school list. Did y'all hear me? So we've got 12 schools, high schools. Okay. And then we've had a situation where children are going from elementary to middle to high school in low performing schools, not ever having an opportunity in their school career to experience quality, John. And that is sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that, page just says, upon further study of the list, we found, as you said, 11 schools have been consistently low performing since 2015. A total of 10 out of the 12 traditional public high schools can be found on the priority list or in one of the target support categories. And I think, we had this conversation in the last class during the fellowship as we talked about, I think it was Hillsborough and maybe Hunter's Lane. And I think one of our fellowship parents, I went to Hillsborough and, it's changed a lot. But, we had to go back to, has it really changed or has it always been the same? Because when you look at the target demographic, it's what's the difference in going from a Whites Creek to a Hillsborough when you think about the demographic and the breakdown? And it's not.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about the time that I went to Whites Creek, so Whites Creek has been on the priority school list since 2015. Well, when I went to Whites Creek, there were more students in the building. There was a whole lot more students. There were a lot more students in the school that had privilege. I mean, I went to some sleepovers at some houses. There were big mansions on Kings Lane. Okay, so those families were upper middle class, and they were able to navigate differently than people in my neighborhood. That was the difference. Okay, my mama cared like they mamas cared. Right? My mama fought for me just like they mama fought for me. But there was a difference back then. But let me tell you something. When I graduated, there were many of my classmates when I looked around wasn't there. But don't nobody talk about that.
Yeah.
But we still got the same problem. So if I graduated with a 2.1 GPA, what do you think my friends that wasn't there sitting beside me had?
Yeah.
But don't nobody want to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think, even me going back to my 20-year class reunion, you just start to recognize, after all the hype and all the celebration, you realize how many people are missing. Then you go looking on Facebook and Facebook provides you a picture roll of someone's life and you realize nope, it didn't. It's very hard and I think that's why we fight, right? Because some people will say, we have to be hopeful. We have to be prayerful. We have to have faith. But when I think about what happens after high school for most kids, one of our parents, shout out to Miss Taylor, did an interview and she talked about the hopes and dreams for her son, like becoming a cardiologist. And I had a personal conversation with him and I can tell he had a real passion. He was dedicated. But in reality, from that interview, when they talked about Glencliff, they talked about 53% of those kids graduating. And when you look at that percentage, so 47% didn't graduate, what happens when you don't graduate? Do you go on to greener pastures? Is there farm life where you can go create a better life for yourself? Is it a fast food joint that'll take a high school diploma or somebody who hasn't graduated and promote you to general manager in 5 years? And I think that's why people got to realize it's not about the now, it's about the future and the later. And the future just doesn't look bright when you don't get what you need on the front end.
Man, so look, I want you to go back over that number. You said that 53% of the students, y'all see the math ain't mathing. If 53% of
Mm-hmm.
the students are not graduating, right? Check this out. 75% or more are not proficient in English language arts, which is English,
Mm-hmm.
and greater than 90% are not proficient in mathematics. That tells me that the people that we're graduating are far behind too. That means you're
Mm-hmm.
graduating people that are not proficient. You got to understand the math too.
So, I mean, from personal experience, right? We work in education, so it's only right that we come across kids who, we end up working with during school and after school, whether it's your child's friend or just a kid you befriended. And I can say, during the pandemic, it was one kid, and I'm not going to get too personal, but they were, I want to say they were supposed to be a senior, but, had enough credits in the 10th grade. And the passion they had and the focus, they were able to catch up, online and be able to walk with their classmates. And we were all proud. We did a party, we celebrated. But in reality, Sonya, that child was not ready. Like that child has a drive, which is great, right? And they're making it out here now. But when I say making it, it's the race to not greener pastures. Like you graduate high school, you have your diploma, and you try to go do a skill set, and you end up working for Amazon or working for UPS or FedEx, and you never really had that moment to grow because you can't get the certification, you can't go to college, in those type of jobs. They're not looking to promote just everybody. Like you might have to know somebody or work your patootie off. I don't know why I just said patootie, but work your patootie off. And it just, the math ain't mathing. And that's why we don't want to be friends with people who are the decision makers. We only want them to do what's right, and we want to support them when they do right, and we want to hold them accountable when it's not.
Yeah, and I want to publicly say this too. It don't matter who like who.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many people like me or liked my kids going? I mean, do you know how many people were nice to me at school? People were always, people, for the most part, the teachers was nice to me at school. For the most part, the teachers were nice to me when I was going up to the school to
Mm-hmm.
fight for my son. Like they were nice,
Mm-hmm.
but nice don't ensure children can read. Nice, like be nice to me and make sure they can read and do math.
Mm-hmm.
Like be nice to children, but make sure that they know how to read. Make sure that they're gonna be successful. Like being nice and liking people is good. Like that's something that we morally should do. Like do what you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do and be
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Yeah. And so 2023, it'll be here before we know it. We'll see, the fireworks downtown will be filled with over 100,000 people. In some of our communities, we won't have the traditional fireworks. We'll have the firearm fireworks, and that'll go for about, 3 weeks. But the biggest thing that we got next year, we got a mayor's race. We got council people who are elected. And the reason this is important because they facilitate the money that comes to our school system. And it's always interesting when we do our fellowship. I think it's the second class signing. We talk about the budget. And we ask people, how much is the Metro budget? And we talked about this last week, and they always undervalue it. But right now, like in the new year, as a nonpartisan organization, we have an opportunity to show up and show out and really listen, but also like hold these people accountable for what they put. And one thing, and this was in Hermitage, they were saying like, what are your priorities? Like safer communities and blight. And I was just like, but what really is blight like, and what is that really doing, for our kids in our neighborhoods? And so we got to make sure, in these things. And some people say, voting doesn't matter. And I'm gonna tell you, the people who put that in your ear are the same people who want to make sure like you don't vote, because at the end of the day, it matters when somebody gets elected by 10 votes or 1 vote. It matters when you have a presidential election that helps dictate and drive policy on a national level that somehow comes down to the local level. But in reality, the local level for us, when we think about education, is going to be the most important.
Look, I did an interview with Channel 4 yesterday, and I'm gonna send it to our tech people so that they can post it. But uh, it reads: Group claims Metro students aren't receiving a quality education, and what they were talking about was the state report card. And so, you know, only 11, that News Channel 4 has done their research, and they said only 11% of all Metro schools, high schools, met or exceeded expectations in math. And for Black students and other minorities, that number is only 6.3%.
Mm-hmm.
And my quote is, we're talking about children who go to school from all the way to the 12th grade without receiving a quality education. It's unfair, it's inhumane, it's criminal. We're dealing with parents who love their children, but who are also a part of the generational systemic educational failure. They're also a product and victims of this system that hasn't gotten better. Rachel Ann Elrod, who is the current chairwoman, says she's proud that MNPS has achieved a level 5 TVOS growth status last year as an advancing district. That's what I'm talking about. You hear what I just said? If only 11% of the students are proficient, why are you proud? Okay, I'm gonna keep on reading because that pissed me. Got me pissed off. Great things happen in all of our schools every day, and the state snapshot of the student success finally captured some of it. She ain't looked at the data. Our staff and students deserve to be commended for the work they did to show their growth. My quote, no, Dr. Battle. Dr. Battle said the Board of Education is committed this is Elrod. The Board of Education is committed along with Dr. Battle to build our growth and progress this year. I said again, we're talking about children who are entering kindergarten and going to school for 12 years, not knowing how to read, not knowing how to do math, not knowing how to do science, not knowing how to do social studies. So we have to make sure that children see themselves as visions. I also said, how does the state give MNPS 9th through 12th graders achievement scores of a 3 out of 4? It's unheard of, and the state has passed indiscretions with truth in reporting, meaning the state in Tennessee has gotten in trouble before. There is no truth in reporting that 9th through 12th graders, and we just talked about that, only 11% of them are proficient. That MNPS as a district is getting a 3 out of 4 achievement score. There's no truth in that reporting, John. And I'm gonna get in the ass about that.
Yep, and that's where we're going. And a couple comments. Shamika says, the government should be sued. Chris Hill says it does matter, bro. I think when we were saying, around voting, Miss Taylor says it hurts me to the love and being sweet was a cover up for my children not learning, and you want to butter me up. And then Shamika just responds with a hell no. I think we gotta humanize why we do what we do in education. I was on Credit Karma. I be trying to check my score. Look on my score. It's growing, but it ain't grown enough. And I got this loan offer, right? And it was for $17,000. I was like, oh shoot, like turn up. And then it said you got to pay back, $532 a month. I was like, okay, that's a little bit much. And so I just did the math. I did 532 times 48 because that's the life of the loan. And it was actually double. And when I think about my first car was 32% interest. And so in reality, like I was paying 32 cents on the dollar because I didn't have the knowledge, right? And those are the things that are right in front of us. And I say all that when we talk about housing, when we talk about our bank accounts, when we talk about like being able to save something and purchase something, like all of those things it's fundamental. We get it from kindergarten to 12th grade. But when you don't get those skills, we just left out there to the wolves, when we think about, the drug companies, I be seeing like Walgreens or Walmart got to pay $692 because they've been peddling drugs. I'm like, damn, like that's a lot of money. But what about us? What y'all gonna pay us? Like, how you gonna really help the community that you get paid to serve?
No. All I want to say, they really don't care about us. That's the Michael Jackson. Hey.
Yep. And Sarah said something, and I think it caught on, but they said in 2023 we got a trick for them.
No, she said she got a treat.
Oh, she got a treat. Okay. And it ain't Halloween.
It ain't no candy. Man, that's a tickle the crap out of me.
And Shamika says that the government should be sued. And I'll tell you, I won't even get into a lot of the details, but last Tuesday, there were schools who were coming to the school board, right, as we celebrated, the district being level 5 growth. And they came to the district to get renewed for another 10 years. And out of 9 board members, it was 6 who had some sense and said, this ain't about no doggone politics. Like, this is about real people, thousands of kids. Like, they definitely need another 10 years. But there were 3 who brought politics to the table. They set it on the table and they said, I know you're doing great, as the data shows, but we don't need you anymore.
Hey, John, I need to our tech people need to block somebody that says like hot photos, my sister, on our page.
Oh, yeah. When you start talking about the good stuff, hey, is that a coincidence or is that intentional?
It's intentional, man. These hackers, I tell you, ain't nobody trying to look at all them wrinkles of your sister. Ain't nobody trying to look at your stinky sister's hot pictures. Stay off our page. Don't get talk funky too.
Yep. But going back to that, the enemy always tries to like hide the truth. And Ms. Fitzgerald says it's really sad, but true. That's where we come in fired up and ready to go. Shamika says, yep, I wish I could be in positions to make these decisions for our children. Hold that thought.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Let me tell y'all something. I want to inspire. Shamika was in my kitchen. She's in my kitchen the other day. And we was talking some personal stuff. We was talking girl talk. Let me tell you something, sis. I want to change your mindset. I want to change everybody. Like, this is not personal. I want everybody to hear this. Stop wishing. Stop trying. Stop dreaming. I want you to write your vision. If that's where you want to be, you have to write the vision. You got to put it on paper and you got to do it. So I encourage you, don't wish you was. Write the vision to get there. So I want you to get there. So that was a piece of encouragement. You can very well do it. And there's many people around here that'll help you to do that. And you're on a good roll. You're active in the community. You're very personable. You understand the issues. And so parents like me would have your back. So do it. Do it.
Yeah, I mean, and we can keep this going on with Ms. Holt. I think, yeah, powerful. I mean, whether I'm showing up at the NAACP or the National Action Network or for environmental justice or at the Capitol or the school board, she there. I think this is what makes us powerful. Like, is we come together. Like, she is a force by herself, but we are powerful. That's why we call this the powerful parent movement, because alone we're strong, but together we can move mountains. And shit, in public education in Nashville in the state of Tennessee, we literally got to move mountains.
Man, what you talking about? It's like turning the Titanic around.
Yep.
Up in here. And it's so funny, like just reading that response from Rachel Elroy. I'm gonna get that ass today. I'm finna light her. I'm gonna bring her into my word for Twitter. You know, I'm tired of them writing these pre-baked statements or responses. And I'm gonna tell her, don't even write that shit no more. Don't even respond if you're gonna respond like that. When you got 11%, only 11% of the students being, and we're talking about 12 high schools, only 11% of them are proficient. Don't you bring that birthday party shit over here. These are real kids, man. And I'm so tired of them, like they don't care. They'll just respond to get people off of them, man. But we ain't gonna leave you alone. Like Rachel, I might come speak December the 13th. I got something to say to you. So we're tired of that. And if you're gonna bring that, go home. Man, I'm so sick of these people. Like, why you on the school board? Why you want your own power, and you don't even have the capacity or the moral compass to respond in a way that's empathetic, in a way that has real action to it. Shut up. I'm so sick of them. I'm going to go tell her to shut up. Shut up.
And you said one thing. You said empathetic, right? Not sympathetic, but empathetic. Like, meaning, you know when people are hurting because you have hurt before, and you understand what it's like to go through the struggle of making sure your child gets what they need in the school system, but the school system continue to tell you that this is all they can do.
No, they don't. You know what they done got now? What they done done now? Y'all want y'all to peep something. Now they won't even publicly say what they're gonna do. They have no intention to do anything. See, I remember sitting in the room at Center 615 with Dr. Battle with her black dress and her baby bump, and Dr. Springer with her. I remember that day around 5 o'clock in the afternoon when she first became interim director of schools. And I remember what I said to her. Dr. Battle, if you cannot ignite belief and take action on behalf of these children, then don't do it. Remember that, John? I told you. If you don't seriously believe and have expectation, I remember it. In 2019, I said it to her. Don't do it. We don't need you. We don't even want you here. And what did she look at me and say? Sonia, I will. She looked at me in my face and said that. She responded to that. And I'm going to remind her of that. Because now the conversation has changed. Where even her staff, when I called them and had to hold them accountable in front of some teachers in the library at Hume Fall, looked at me and said, it's not all on Dr. Battle. Yes, it is all on Dr. Battle. Leaders put it all on their back. I dare not stand around and say that I'm going to put something off that's Nashville Propel on somebody else. No, I'm a leader. Whatever happens with Nashville Propel, I am responsible for it. I am responsible for helping parents to take action and building a movement and carrying the weight on my shoulders. And this school district does not hold themselves accountable. They have not put the 77,000 children on their shoulders and told them they're going to carry them. And they haven't done it. What they said is, do it yourself. That's what they've done, John. Do it yourself. We're going to take credit if it's level 5, but when it's only 11% proficient, we still going to talk about the level 5. The math ain't math. That shit don't add up.
But 5, I think it sounds really good, and it sounds like it's something to be celebrated. But I mean, you broke down the numbers. You said 11%, if I'm quoting it right, and that means you may have had 6%, and it almost doubled, and so that warrants a level 5. But I think real leadership would say, we got this designation, and thank you, from the state of Tennessee, but it should be no way that we should even highlight being a level 5, because at the end of the day, we are so far behind. Any voice that we want to use to highlight this level 5, we need to be speaking to students, or we need to be listening to parents, or we need to be working with our teachers to find out what are we missing. Like, because we all know teachers are on the ground level, right? So they hear all and know all. And we know administration, you come for the school tour, you walk around, you have, coffee and conversations, but you don't know the internal things that are happening in the classroom. And it's a disconnect. And I think we got to have people who have courage to say, yeah, we got this level 5, but we not going to even talk about it. Like, we're going to put our heads down and keep working on behalf of children. Because to send this message out, to have a celebration, is sending the wrong message. Like, we're in the right direction, like we're in the right place, instead of saying, hey, we're growing, high 5 seconds, and then we get back to work.
I'm tweeting her right now. I'm tweeting her right now. I'm tweeting, only 11% of all Metro schools, high schoolers met or exceeded expectations in math. For Black students and other minorities, that number was only 6%. At Rachel for schools, when you celebrate level 5, this is what you are celebrating.
The question is, what's that response, right? Is it a response that's ignored, or is it a response that say, sheesh, like, I need to get to the bottom of this, because I'm out here looking crazy. Like, I'm out here quoted.
Can I add that? I'm gonna say, you out here looking crazy.
I mean, crazy to the people who are not getting it. I mean, again, we got graduation coming up in May, and in the last graduation is so phenomenal. I mean, I think that was one of my best experiences of, like, helping lead the graduation. You see the kids, right? We got the hats on and the robes. The families are so excited. And it's like a wedding. It lasts for a moment, and then you got to live the rest of your life. And the life that we're giving our kids to live is not the right one. We putting them in the Hunger Games. Like, hey, like, get out there. If you make it, great job. And if you don't make it, great job. Life still goes on.
No, we're putting food stamps, low-income housing, homelessness, guns, and fentanyl in their hands. That's what's happening. When they hit kindergarten, if you're not going to educate them, then that's what you're putting in their hands. You're putting fentanyl, you're putting perks, you're putting blunts, you're putting alcoholism and homelessness and famine and poverty. That's what you're equipping them with. Let's just tell the truth. That's what it's meant to do. And don't let me get on music. Parents, shut your radios off. Music is even hypnotizing our children. What goes in comes out. If you're not educating them as a school system and you're not putting in what they need, then what's going to come out? Parents, be careful where you send your kids to school. Be careful. If it's not a high performing school,
It's
get them out.
interesting you say that. It's another topic with the music, but it's so real. I mean, it's so real. It's so real. I mean, just me, myself, and I. Like, I know I can be influenced by music. If I'm listening to, back in the day, murder, murder, kill, kill. You know, I mean, it it came up on my news feed today on Facebook of somebody like addressing that. I think a Nashville native who has a podcast, like he wanted to address it. So it's a lot of truth in that. A lot of
Man,
truth.
I'm gonna
And
always
and Miss Taylor says they basically tell us to kill.
look. I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I'm gonna be a mama first. I'm gonna be an executive director for Nashville Propel second.
Mm-hmm.
Watch what you allow to entertain your own brain. Watch what you allow to entertain your children's brains, whether it's the music they listen to, whether it's what they see on TV, whether it's the food that they eat, whether it's who you allow around your children. I'm talking about family, teachers, preachers, everybody. Guard your mind and guard your heart. You have got to make sure that your mindset and your children's mindset is where you want to and put people and things around them for where you want to be. I hang around people who are where I want to be. If I want to be a millionaire, I got to hang around millionaires, not listen to songs talking about how to slang on the streets or shoot. If I want to be a shooter or killer, that's what I need to listen to. I'm gonna be real. I don't care who get mad. Say I'm lying. Everything around you in your environment influences you. If you are alcoholic, you can't be around alcohol. Do y'all hear me? I'm gonna be signing your mom right now. I'm gonna be signing your mom right now. Now I'm gonna talk about another statistic. The data also shows that the district scored a 0.5 on attendance. Get your children to school. Make sure they go to school. If your child wake up talking about their stomach hurt, there's a couple of things I want you to do. I want you to check to see if they constipated. I'm gonna be a mama. You're gonna be a mama now. Make sure they don't have a fever or a virus. But also I want you to check their mental health. If they're consistently saying that my stomach hurt, there could be a mental health issue. They could be being bullied at school and don't want to go. Do y'all hear me? Get your kids to school. Get them in a good school. Get them in a place where there's a safe environment, the culture's good. Get them in a school where they're going to ignite the excitement, inspire them. If your child is unhappy, I don't have to take one out of the highest performing school in Nashville, Martin Luther King. She was being bullied in school. We had to have the child arrested. She was bullying my child so bad. But my child was so unhappy that her grades had fallen. So I had to take her out of that. Get your children to school. We shouldn't have a 0.5% absentee rate. Get them to school, but get them in a good school. I don't want to see that no more. Now I'm fussing at everybody. Get them to school. If you don't like the school, get them out of the school. Hell, I come pick them up. Get them out of that school. But get them in a place. They got to have an education. They ain't going to make it here. This ain't New York. If you could make it here, you'll make it everywhere. If they don't make it here, they won't make it anywhere. I'm through fussing. Get your kids to school. Sorry, John.
No. Good stuff. And just with that, the last thing that we'll talk about as we roll off is, we have a I think earlier this month there was a celebration of schools, but I think what was missing was all the schools in Nashville. Something they never had done in the history since they've been doing the enrollment fair. And so coming up really soon, and you guys will see more details on our website. We'll send it out on email, get press releases, all that. But Propel is going to be leading.
John, wait a minute. Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So,
we're
like,
gonna do active stuff.
yep. So thank you guys, and really appreciate LaQuetta, Dustin, Miss Brewer, as always, Miss Taylor, new commenter, Mr. Chris Hill, Miss Moore, Miss Charlie, keep Orvis. Thanks for jumping on. This is really insightful. I'll end on, and I think we talked about this earlier. We got a mayor's race and a council race coming up next year. And when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, we got to take the action to the people, whether it's been biblical, whether it's been in the neighborhood. Like when people get tired up, like you got to fight back. And where we're going in Nashville, which, I'm still forming my opinion. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. We're talking about bringing a stadium. We're talking about, new schools in Bellevue. We're talking about gentrification in North Nashville and Bordeaux. Like all of these things could have a negative impact. That's why we got to make sure we have the right leadership that's going to do right by the people who helped build the city, who have helped bring the city up from when downtown nobody came to now, we host a New Year's Eve event. You have over 100,000 people. We need to make sure our people benefit that. And just one last thing. When all those people show up in downtown Nashville, 100,000, whether it's raining, snowing, or light and bright with warm weather in December, it's a lot of money. So with 100,000 people, just imagine if everybody is spending at least $50 in the city of Nashville. But the bad thing is, with a policy that was created, all of that money that's spent downtown stays in the downtown district. In Nashville, the people of Nashville never see any of that money most of the time because it stays in a fund that supports downtown, and it doesn't support Donaldson, Hermitage, Bordeaux, North Nashville, South Nashville, Antioch. And so we got to make sure we have people at the table who are looking out for us and not just the business leaders. Like it has to be a group effort. And, don't see a lot of that in education, housing, or anything else.
Yep.
And so thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Our fellowship people, we'll see you tomorrow night at 6, and we will keep this train moving. But thank you guys.
Yep, and I ain't sorry for going off here. Get your kids to school.